Alrighty, so today we are going to finish up the review for match week number 25, and now we're going to get to the big hitters in terms of some of the marquee matchup from this weekend, and really some of these marquee matchup turned into a lopsided affair, and we'll definitely talk about that one game of the rematch of MLS Cup. That I mean, I don't think anyone saw how that game ended between LAFC and the Columbus Crew. And also, if you want to hear about that game straight away, that's why timestamp basically exists. I have the timestamp below in the description. But let us begin with the first match, which is the Vancouver Whitecaps and St. Louis City. And yeah, for St. Louis, it's safe to say that that new interim head coach boost only lasted one game for them. And that, as I said before, you can't play the San Jose Earthquakes every single week. And when you do play against a really good team like the Vancouver Whitecaps right now, that all of a sudden seems like Vanni Sartini team is starting to head in the upward projectile. Yeah, that's kind of what happened in this game. And what also been happening this season for St. Louis is that, divine intervention has hit this team hard in a way where you know how last season they were benefiting in terms of giveaways from the other team. Well, now it feels like they are tasting their own medicine and been doing it pretty much every single week because just 9 minutes into this game, Brian White would score from goal to make it 1-0 in favor of the Whitecaps, and again that goal came from a St. Louis uh, giveaway in their own end, and it wouldn't be the last time that they would give the ball away that they were punished because of that. That also was the only shot for the first 20 minutes of this game, and in fact, really on the first shot of the game for St. Louis, they put the ball into the back of net as Fornson would ties the game up at one apiece. I say this before, and I'll say it again. Yes, I know they still lose the productivity from Ceseo Pompeo, but it's not really like that much. I mean, Fornson has been really impressive ever since he replaced Pompeo in this spot. Though I will say that this is one that, Takaoka will want to have back because he got 5 hold here, and this is a thing that as the Whitecaps have been playing very well, there is that one concern of the fact that Yohei Takaoka has really started to not play very well in the last couple of games. He's really giving up some soft goals, and this was another one of them. Just one that, if you're a goalkeeper, you hate to get 5 hold, and that this is one that I'm pretty sure Takoga would want to have back. White did look to respond, but it was denied by Berkey before Berhalter puts it wide on the volley, and then Galwood hits it right to Berkey. As I thought Vancouver responded well, they were pressing back to get the lead back, and they do. Guess who it is? It's Brian White. So it's no surprise that once Brian White and Ryan Goal has been red hot for this Whitecaps team, that this team all of a sudden is start to really get into good form. And again, Brian White just cannot stop scoring right now. I think he has scored 4 consecutive game coming into this one. Well, actually, I think it was 3 consecutive game, and now it's 4 consecutive game, and getting a brace in that one to give the Whitecaps the lead back, and that would be the scoreline heading into the second half. Now, in the second half, Vasilev would put it wide in the back post before Leuven would have a shot that missed wide from long range. I thought it was a much better start in the second half for St. Louis. Despite the fact that they did get a goal in the first half, St. Louis was definitely being outmanned by Vancouver, and that in the second half they definitely showed some more fight and was looking for the equalizer. Leuven had a shot that was saved by Takaoka, but it was still goal down, and Takaoka again didn't really push that one away too much, and Veselinovic had to clear that one off the line. And if Veselinovic didn't clear that one off the line, that's 2-2 in this game. And again, safe to say that Takaoka, he's been a liability in this game. There's been a couple of times where he has make these moments where he's been giving up soft goal, and again that can happen when you're a goalkeeper. That of course giving up soft goal and you're confident is definitely low. But the good news for him is that the Whitecaps picked up the slack for him because in the 63rd minute, Raposo would make it a 2 goal lead for Vancouver, and really just criminal defending there from St. Louis, just not clearing their lines whatsoever. How many times I've said when you leave the ball in the danger area for so long, eventually your opposition is going to put it in, and in the end, St. Louis didn't clear their line. Repulso was there to pounce on it after a couple of chances for the Whitecaps to score. Berkey would then deny Pico from close range, and then he would score Fafa Pico in the 80th minute. But VAR did disallow the goal because there was a handball on the development of play, and also it's not to mention that play also came off of a bad turnover which St. Louis cannot stop doing in this game. I mean, the amount of turnover that they've committed in this game, and really throughout this season, again, just it feels like it's been the complete opposite of what we've seen from St. Louis last year, where this was the team that was capitalizing on opposition making turnover. And before you might say that they got really lucky last season, and it feels like it's a complete fluke, similar to what we saw with the Rapids a couple of years when they finished first place. Keep in mind, I mentioned a couple of times that yes, there are some of these goals that St. Louis kind of got a little fortunate that their opposition make a bad mistake, but a part of that is because they've done a very good job in terms of their pressing system, and the pressing system really kind of caused havoc in terms of teams, especially in the beginning of the season. Yeah, it's safe to say that no one is fooled by the pressing system that the St. Louis side has had. It's just have not been good in enough whatsoever, and instead now it seems like at the back, which we saw last season, especially near the second half of the season, where it started to become a liability for St. Louis, where they were very thin at the back line. Now it's just getting completely destroyed. And again, part of that is because of the fact that they've suffered so much injury this season, both on the attack, midfield, and on the defense. But that being said, in the segment of stoppage time, Fafa Pico was not going to be denied of scoring the goal. He would score here from Ryan Gold to make it 4-1 in favor of the Whitecaps. And yeah, that was the final score of this game. The shot total was actually dead even at 14 apiece, but Vancouver outshot St. Louis on goal by a lot. 9 shots on goal for the three that St. Louis had. Both teams had 3 shots off target, 8 shots on the block for the just one that Vancouver has, and possession-wise, 52% possession compared to the 48% possession that St. Louis had in this game. Now, obviously, it'll be very interesting to see how they're going to change the team. There's no doubt that obviously, if this front office is serious about trying to get themselves back to the level that they were in their inaugural season, they're going to spend a lot of money. And I've already heard that there's some reinforcement that is coming for the St. Louis side, and not to mention, again, this is just one of those times where they've just been hit with this injury crisis, and you just hope that maybe with them getting some reinforcement in the summer, and the fact that heading into the offseason they might get more reinforcement. And I will not be surprised. This St. Louis team could be a very different team heading into their third season. They might have a go at it again, but it just feels like it's a lost season for the St. Louis side, and that it's kind of disappointing that they're kind of having a very similar type of year that what we saw with Austin after an incredible second season. They completely fell apart in the third season. But for the Whitecaps, again, I feel like right now the West is starting to become more competitive. I talk about the East, where there's some really good team in the East that it is competing for those top spot and could be a bloodbath when playoff time comes. It could be the same case for the West. I feel like there are some really good team this season in the West. This is not like last season where it was kind of unpredictable in not a good way, because there was a lot of team that was struggling to be consistent. This season has been different. It feels like this season we have started to figure out some of the really good team in the West, and especially those teams near the top five have been really good this year in the West, and Vancouver is definitely one of them, with them really starting to turn their season around lately, with them getting on a bit of an unbeaten run. Now that being said, moving on in terms of the next match is Houston and Minnesota. So obviously, the good news for the Loons coming into this game is that they did stop the bleeding. They did not lose 7 in a row, even though I thought that was definitely on the card with the way that the Dynamo have also been playing relatively well. But the problem for Minnesota in this game is that they didn't end the winless run. The winless run is now at 7 games, and really, this is a game where I think they were very fortunate that they got a point out of this game, and kind of saw a little bit of shades of Adrian Heath kind of role performance, where it's a team that trying to hold on to the lead and ultimately failed to do so in a spectacular way. Now, in the first half, right as the player walked out and did the anthem, the game basically go under a weather delay. That is probably the first time I've ever seen that happen, where they basically had the players ready to go, and we were like just minutes away from kickoff, and then the game basically was gone under a weather delay, and that's got to be very frustrating if you're the players. Like you have that the adrenaline rush coming out of the tunnel, and you're all ready to get the game going, and then all of a sudden, the public announcer said, "Yeah, this game is not going to be started on time because of a weather delay." But nevertheless, about an hour later, they did resume play. Clark would then deny Rosales, but the Loons did recycle the play there, and Lomani had a chance in the front post, but he only find the post there. And then on the other end, Smear would deny Dorsey, as that was Houston's first shot. I thought Houston kind of dominated possession, and that's not a big surprise. I knew coming into this game the Loons were going to sit back. They've been doing a lot of this lately, where they're just kind of sitting back and trying to hit on the counter, and it's understandable because I know Eric Ramsey knows that this team they know that they have to be forced to play this style of play because they just don't have the player to trying to go on the front foot, and if they do try to do so, we saw how bad that ends up, especially when they were playing at home with the way that they try to go on the front foot, trying to be the protagonist, and they're just getting absolutely ripped apart because there's no midfield in defense in this Minnesota team. But the shots were only one apiece 20 minutes into this game, though in the 32nd minute, Smear would denied alley-oop from close range. There was a shout for a penalty for Houston on the following sequence that was not given. The Dynamo continued to dominate possession, and this is where I started to see the Loons start to creating chances and just not really able to put that outlet pass and getting pinned deep in their own half. Again, this is not a big surprise. I've seen that a couple of times so far doing this losing streak. But we do head to halftime with the scoreless between both of these teams, and if I'm not mistaken, that's the first time that Minnesota has head to halftime this season with a 0-0 scoreline. It's hard to believe that it's taken this long for that to happen, but that also just kind of sums up where there's been times where they have been able to get the opening goal in the first half, but also they've had times where they've been giving up the first goal very early, and it has happened a lot recently. Well, like I said, we head to halftime 0-0 in the second half. Rosales would puts it wide from long range before Aliud would click the outside of the post as he was in on goal. Sevchenko then puts it right to Smear, and again, Houston was really started putting pressure, though Sambin would hit it right to Clark in the 62nd minute. I thought both of these teams would start to exchange some chances and looking for the opening goal. And then in the 70th minute, Minnesota gets the opening goal. It's Robin Lutz scoring from Rosales and Fragapani to give Minnesota a 1-0 lead. And Robin Lutz, he's been relatively cold lately, but he definitely needed that goal, and especially on the assist from Rosales. Joseph Rosales, even though he's a fullback by trade, he's not really a fullback. He's really kind of now the number 10 of this guy. The amount of time that he's kind of pulling the string for this team, despite the fact that he's not a creative player and he's more of a fullback, that just kind of shows you how interesting this Eric Ramsey system can be, where you can even have a fullback to be the dangerous weapon for your team. In the 74th minute, Carrasquilla looked to answer, but he puts it wide before Vieira had an acrobatic shot that goes wide there. He was trying to go for a scissor kick there. Didn't quite work out. But then Bossy did put the ball into the back net. Unfortunately, the flag did not agree with him, so the goal was disallowed for offside. The Dynamo was pushing hard for the equalizer, and this is where I think, yep, Rohit Mo is definitely fully activate for the Loons. And anytime when Rohit Mo happen, especially when Minnesota is leading the game, it's not going to go so well. And I don't think anyone is surprised that after Rohit Mo was activated, it immediately backfired because in the 82nd minute, and by the way, for those that are new and wonder what the heck is Rohit Mo, I always say this whenever this team just kind of bunker in and hope to pray that they can get a result, as that's kind of been the thing that always frustrates me about Adrian Heath. And I will say that Ramsey at times have been had to do this. So again, I'm not going to blame him by still having this team go Rohit mode because again, they just don't have the player to do so in terms of opening things up. And in some way, they're kind of almost forced to be in Rohit mode at times to protect the lead. But that being said, that also means that it's not going to work out. And in the 82nd minute, Sebastian Ferreira would score from Sevchenko and Herrera to tie the game up at one apiece. I gotta say, Seba Ferreira, he has really have a revitalized season this year. I mean, this is a guy that looked like he was done with this Dynamo team. Looked like he was not coming back after he gone on his loan spell, but somehow in some way he has played himself back into this team, and he's been scoring a lot of goals. And Ben Olsen has done a really good job to get him back into the starting 11. But at the same time, again, just set piece defending. This is another thing that has been one of the reasons why the Loons have been going on this losing streak. The set piece defending has been absolutely atrocious from this team. They've given up way too many set piece goals during this losing run, and this is another one to add to that tally. And then Ferreira had a shot that was deflected and goes wide before Artur would hit it right to Smears. Up to this point, I thought the Loons were holding on for dear life. They were praying that they can get a point out of this game. the good news is they were able to do so, and it's a rare point too because Minnesota don't draw a lot of games this season, and really for the last season as well. They're not a team that is not to draw a lot of games, but they did drew 1-1 in this one to stop the 6 game losing run. The shots in this one, 25 shots compared to 7 that Minnesota has. Yeah, it's safe to say that Houston was really knocking on the door in this game. 8 shots on goal for the 3 that Minnesota has, 1 shot off target for the 3 that the Dynamo has, 12 shots on block for the 2 that Minnesota has, and possession-wise, 61% possession compared to just 39% possession that Minnesota has in this game. And again, while it is frustrating that the Loons gave up another soft set piece goal, I think in hindsight, because of this losing run that they have, and I'm starting to really set a very low bar on this Loons team. I think I'm gonna be happy and take the point, especially after the record 6 game losing run that this team was encountered. It's good the fact that they, of course, got a point. And now that I've heard that they're now going to start making some reinforcement, I heard there's potentially 2 players that could be coming in the summer transfer window. And the fact that Minnesota does get a little bit of an easier schedule, at least to finish up before we get to Leeds Cup. They get to play DC and the Quakes in their next 2 games. Both of them is going to be at Allianz, and you would expect that those are 2 games that they should be able to finally end the winless run because both of those teams have not had a good season whatsoever. But for the Dynamo, yeah, very frustrating in game. I mean, yes, they eventually did crawl their way back into this one, but frustrating part is they dominated this game, and unfortunately they were unable to get all 3 points of it. And that's also kind of the same that we usually see sometime with good team. Even sometime with good team that just don't have their finishing boots. And for this game, for the most part, Houston just didn't have their finishing boots in this one. With that being said, moving on into the next match is Colorado versus the New York Red Bulls. So this was a game I was slated that there was going to be a lot of goal scoring, and unfortunately, it didn't really quite work that way. And I think part of that is because it is pretty clear that coming out of this game, both of these teams missed their number 10. Mihajlovic for the Rapids, not available because of the Olympics, and you kind of start to see that they're starting missing that quality because of it. And then the Red Bulls, obviously, Emil Frostberg has been injured for this team, and they really miss his uh ability. But also, not to mention, it's another game where again, this game just sums up the Red Bulls' recent run, which yes, they create chances, they can't bury it. Now, in the first half, Stefan would deny Harper, but it was recycled back to him, and he gets another chance, but he hits this one wide before Navarro puts it wide from close range. Nealis then hits it right to Stefan, and then Navarro puts it wide from close as expected. I thought this was a lively game to begin, and that's expected because both of these teams are very good going for it on the attack. Harper would then puts one right to Stefan before Stefan denied Vanzier as he was in on goal because Dante Vanzier is not allowed to score a goal recently. I mean, he's been ice cold for this team for a while now. Cornell, on the other end, would deny Larraz from long range. Again, both of these teams continue to exchange chances, but we can potentially get that opening goal after all these chances that were missed. Well, the answer is actually the New York Red Bulls, as in the first man stoppage time, Lewis Morgan. He scored from Vanzier and Harper to give the Red Bulls a 1-0 lead. So if you can't score Dante Vanzier, why not be on the assist chart? He did a lot of that in the early part of the season, and I think that's probably going to be something that he's going to do for now, especially setting up Lewis Morgan, who has been having another good season with the New York Red Bulls. But we do head to halftime with the Red Bulls leading 1-0. In the second half, I thought the Rapids were on the front foot. They were pressing to try to get the equalizer. Navarro would put it wide from close before Fernandez would hit one right to Cornell. You can tell that Fernandez really wants to score in this game and want to score against his former team. And I have no doubt that if he does score against the Red Bulls, he's not going to celebrate because he's a guy that's been with the Red Bull system for just so long, and it's quite surprising to see that he wasn't going to be sold off to from the New York Red Bulls, but instead come to the Colorado Rapids, which turns out to be a good decision too because he's been playing well for the Rapids recently. And again, he came so close of scoring his former team if it wasn't for the post getting in the way in the 64th minute. But then just a couple of seconds later, Sean Nealis would unfortunately score an own goal here, and it was really unfortunate there for Nealis because it's just one of those one where we've seen this before many times when you're a defender and you're basically trying to snap that one behind for a corner, and especially when you're facing in front of your own goal, that is a very very dangerous thing to do. Trying to to stab it behind for a corner because you might accidentally put it into your own net, and that's exactly what happened here. But at the same time, I think that goal was deserved from the Rapids. They were pounding on the door to try to get the equalizer. And then they almost took the lead if it wasn't for Cornell. Absolutely raw Bassett from close range. The momentum was all with the Rapids right now, and you kind of sense that the Red Bulls, they were looking like they were really in this game. And in some way, you could say that in the second half, the Rapids completely took over this game. They were pushing hard to try to get all 3 points. But Cornell stand tough. He denied Navarro from close range before on the other end, Stefan would deny Burke and a rare second half opportunity for the Red Bulls. But in the end, it was a 1-1 draw in this game. Shots in this one, 14 shots for the 11 that the Red Bulls had, 7 shots on goal for the 4 that the Rapids had. Both teams had 2 shots off target, 5 shots that was blocked for the 1 that the Red Bulls had. And possession-wise, 58% possession compared to 42% possession the Red Bulls has in this game. And overall, I think the balance of play, a draw is fair for both of these teams. But, both of these teams would definitely feel like they miss an opportunity to get all 3 points consider of the amount of missed chances that was happened. But also, not to mention, both goalkeeper played very well in this one. We know Carlos Cornell is a decent goalkeeper, but I thought that Stefan probably had one of his best game in this one. He had to come up big to make a couple of save to at least keep the Rapids in check, especially in the majority part of the first half. But that being said, moving on in the next match is the Portland Timbers and RSL. So I had a bit of a debate whether or not should I wear Portland or Columbus in this review because as I'll talk about Columbus, they did something that we have never seen any team is able to go to BMO Stadium to do. But in the end, I decided to choose wearing the Timbers because I've wear Columbus a lot doing the review before, and I rarely wear the Timbers, and I would say that yeah, again, I talk about Vancouver being a dangerous team in the West. England now all of a sudden is that team because this is probably the most impressive win that the Timbers had not only in this season but really for a while, and that's saying something. Consider they just came off of a 4-1 win against Nashville, and they had that impressive 4-1 win against Colorado. But what makes the difference between this game and the other 2 games is that the first game of the season against the Rapids, we didn't know the Rapids were going to be that horrible to begin, and also against Nashville in that last game, Nashville's been a bit inconsistent lately, but this game was just kind of a complete performance, which that is also another thing that in those 2 blowouts that the Timbers had, it wasn't really a complete performance. I mean, they played well in the first half and just kind of shut things down. This was a complete performance and something that we have not seen RSL getting this battered by an opposition at all this season on either at home or on the road. Now, in the first half, the Timbers would score early as Felipe Mora would score for Moreno to give the Timbers a 1-0 lead. That was the first shot of the game. And then Crooks did look to answer, but he puts this one wide before Arango would put that wide on the header. I'll talk about in just a bit that there's some bad news for RSL fan in regards to Chicho Arango in a bit. But Moreno would then hit it wide from close. The shots were 2 apiece for the Timbers early in this game. Mascara would hit one right to McMath before Moreno would hit one right to McMath again. As the Timbers, they were hungry. They continued to create some dangerous chances, looking for that second goal. So on the other end, or actually no, not on the other end. We have Jonathan Rodriguez hits one that go right to McMath, and then on the other end, Pentimus would deny Rodriguez from close range before he denied Gomez in the 43rd minute as RSL was pressing late to try to get the equalizer. But we do head to halftime with the Timbers leading 1-0. In the second half, Capacito Rodriguez, oh boy, he would want to have this one back because this was an absolute sitter that he missed there. But the good news for him is that his teammate Santiago Moreno basically make up for it because he would score just 1 minute after that bad miss from Rodriguez from Evander to make it 2-0 in favor of the Timbers. Mascara then puts it wide from close range. The Timbers were cooking up to this point. Like, they were dominating this game. RSL defense were all over the place in this one, which is something you don't see with this team throughout the season at all. Mora then puts it wide from the header, and then the post denied Chichorango on the header, and this is kind of maybe just a warning shot for the Timbers because as dominant as you are, RSL has shown that ability to come back even when they look like they're down and out. Evander then flashed one wide from close range before Julio flicks one onto the roof of the net because Anderson Julio not allowed to score a goal. He's completely snake bitten with this RSL team. And really, as the time winds down, you start to see the Timbers drop their lines a little bit. RSL were looking to try to press to get one back and maybe set up a grandstand finish. Catranas tried to do so, but he puts a wide from close range. But in the 90th minute, Evander makes sure there was no grandstand finish because he pretty much turn off the lights here with a goal from Anthony to make it 3-0 of the Timbers. And yeah, by far the best performance the Timbers had throughout this whole season. Like from minute one all the way up to the end, they were dominating this one and well deserve a 3-0 win against one of the top team in the West and one of the top team in the league, that is, in Real Salt Lake. Shots in this one, 20 shots for the 11 that RSL had, 3 shots on goal for the 7 the Timbers had, 7 shots off target for the 6 that RSL had, 1 shot that was blocked for the 5 that the Timbers had, and possession-wise, 56% possession compared to the 44% possession that the Timbers has in this game. And I think the only good news coming out of this game for RSL is at least the team at the top of the West, that is LAFC, did not win as well, so they keep pace with that. But this is definitely a wake up call for them. And again, all good teams will always have one of these games where they're just not at it whatsoever, and it's definitely one that again not only is a good wake up call, but one that they got to remind themselves that they can't have these kind of performance when playoff time comes. But I think this is more to say to the fact that the Timbers were just absolutely dominating and looked like a threat in the West. And again, all credit has to go to Phil Neville. He has really turned this team around. This team looked like was the butt of jokes in the beginning of the season with the amount of goals they've conceded. But now that they stopped leaking goals and the fact that the attack is stronger than ever before, yeah, it's no surprise that they've been winning a lot of games and they've now gone 7 games. Without a loss and have gone 7 game unbeaten at Providence Park. They're started making Providence Park like a fortress again, which is something that we saw it before a couple of years ago, but really, for these last couple of seasons, that just have not been the case. There's been many times where the Timbers have dropped points at home, and I'm pretty sure Timbers fans are very happy to see that Providence Park has started to become a fortress like it used to be. But that being said, I am now going to switch board and now look at the rematch of last year's MLS Cup. So now looking at the rematch of last year MLS Cup, and I would say that this game, just like what we saw between Cincinnati versus Inter Miami in terms of the battle of the support ratio, and that we talk about it being have that marquee kind of game feeling. Well, it kind of was a little anticlimactic in this one as well. Though I will say this, yes, I know at the end of the day, Columbus absolutely destroyed LAFC in this game, but when you look at how this game plays out, I feel like this might be one of those games where the scoreline kind of flattened how this game turns out. I don't think LAFC just got run over. Besides maybe on the defensive end, the attack for LAFC was actually pretty good in this one, but unfortunately Columbus was just much more clinical in this game, and they definitely sent a message to the rest of the league after this game that yeah, they are the defending MLS Cup champion for a reason, and they're looking to trying to defend their crown and become the first team in over a decade to repeat as MLS Cup champ. Now, in the first half, Lloris would deny Cucho as that was the game first shot before Bawanga puts it wide from close range. It was a very open game from the get-go, and that's not a big surprise considering, again, both of these teams are very good on the attacking end. Ramirez then tried to chip Lloris there, but Lloris was just able to get back in time to save it. So yeah, not the first time we have seen that happen where the goalkeeper maybe come off his lines a little bit too much, got caught cheating there. But Lloris was very thankful that it didn't go over his head. Kamara then hits it right to Schulte in the 14th minute. The shots were already 2 apiece for both of these teams 15 minutes in. Cucho would miss wide from close range before Rossi missed wide from long range, as I thought the crew started to put some sustained pressure, really started to dictate the game and look for the opening goal. And they got it in the 38th minute. It's Christian Ramirez against his former team, scoring from Arvston and Cucho to give Columbus a 1-0 lead. Kamara did look to answer, but he missed wide on the header, or actually, it missed high on the header, that is. And then he would miss wide on the header just 2 minutes later as LAFC with a good response there. Now they were looking to try to get the equalizer late, but we do head to halftime with Columbus leading 1-0. Now, in the second half, again, if you would have thought that this game at this point would turn into a laugher, yeah, it definitely didn't look like it. And it still kind of didn't look like it in the beginning of the second half too, because Schulte would deny Holland's head from close before Ramirez put the wide on the header. And again, just like the first half, there's been chances for both of these teams to get this next crucial goal. And who's that team that gets the next crucial goal? It's the Columbus Crew. And my goodness, this was just vintage Cucho here. He absolutely hit this one on a frozen rope. I mean, I'm pretty sure Lloris was hoping that that one was going to go over the bar there. He just completely froze and was praying that that was the case, and it didn't. It basically hits the upper 90 as, yeah, Cucho here, he scored for Herrera. Definitely not even question mark goal of the week. That is the goal of the week. Maybe even contention for goal of the year, and just a vintage Cucho finish there to give Columbus a 2-0 lead. And then it could have been 3-0 if it wasn't for the post denied Farsi from close range. And then in the 60th minute, Rossi would score against his former team here to make it 3-0 in favor of Columbus. Obviously, he did not celebrate, knowing that it's against his former team, but it also come off of a bad turnover from LAFC. Again, that was an issue throughout this game. Part of that is because the Crew did a really good job in terms of pressing high and really suffocating this LAFC defense, but some of them is just kind of uncharacteristic mistake from LAFC, just giving the ball away deeply. And when you give the ball away against the light of the Columbus Crew, yeah, it's pretty much game over for you. Though it looked like LAFC did get one back when Bouanga puts it in the back of the net, but the flag did not agree with that. And then in the 83rd minute, it goes bad from worse for LAFC as Palencia would get his second yellow card of this game. So yeah, LAFC were down to 10 men, and they were instantly punished after going down to 10 men as Christian Ramirez scored another goal against his former team from Matan to make it 4-0 in this one. Then a couple of seconds later from the restart, Ordaz did at least get one back for LAFC, but that 4-goal leak was quickly restored just 4 minutes later as Alexander Matan joined the goal scoring party as he scored from Nagby here to make it 5-1 in favor of Columbus. Once again, that came off of a turnover from LAFC. Again, they just cannot stop giving the ball away, and this Crew team was just completely suffocated. This LAFC defense just not allowed them any time to play out of the back. And then the tempers really started to flare, and you kind of had a sense that this was coming with the way that when you have a game like this magnitude and you're getting blown out, frustration is going to start to show. And this actually ended with Henestrosa basically throwing a punch toward Moreto. Now, both of these players actually got themselves sent off in this game, which is kind of surprising to see because, well, it was not surprising that Henestrosa gets a straight red out of that because he throw a punch. You can't do that. That's violent conduct every time. Kind of surprised that Moreto, of course, got himself sent off as well. I mean, he also will likely attempt to throw a punch as well. So maybe you could say that that's also violent contact. But for a rare occasion, we have some 10v9 soccer in the last bit of this game. And then we had almost another heated moment when Atuesta was or actually Matan was brought down by Atuesta, and I couldn't tell whether if that was a whistle for the foul or is that just a whistle for the full time. I think it was kind of a combination of both, where the referee just wants this game to end because he knows that the temperature has been really hot because of the frustration that's going on for LAFC getting absolutely blown out by Columbus, and Columbus obviously not happy with the way that LAFC started to play very dirty late in this game. But yeah, in the end, the ref knew that he has to just put this game before things just completely get out of control. And yeah, in the end, the Crew they get a 5-1 win for against LAFC. So much for LAFC in terms of getting revenge in this game. But as I said, I feel like maybe the scoreline kind of flatter how this game turned out because when you look at the stats, it was actually not as big of a blowout as you would expect it is. 20 shots for the 17 that LAFC had, 5 shots on goal for the 8 that Columbus had, 6 shots off target for the 7 that LAFC had. Both team that has 4 shots that was blocked, and possession-wise, 60% possession compared to 40% possession that LAFC has in this game. And I think this game also kind of just sums up the fact that, as much as I talk about the West, they have some really good team. I still think that the East is still the stronger conference. And if we have a discussion in terms of looking at all these top 4 Eastern Conference team versus the top 4 Western Conference team, you could make a lot of case that most of those team in the top 4 in the Eastern Conference would probably get the better over the team in the top 4 in the West. And this game kind of shows you. I mean, LAFC was just kind of an unstoppable machine coming into this one, and Columbus just kind of walk into BMO Stadium saying, Yeah, what unstoppable machine, because they walked away with the biggest win that we have ever seen a team had at BMO Stadium, and this is also the first time that LAFC have conceded five at home. I know they conceded four a couple of time, but this is the first time they just completely humble by an opposition, and rightfully so when you get, of course, humble by the team that beat you in MLS Cup. But it'll be very interesting to see the next time when both of these teams play against each other. Maybe we're gonna see each other the next time each other play is going to be MLS Cup again, because again, I do have a feeling that if both of these teams continue to do well as they have been, they could maybe be on a collision course of once again having a rematch of MLS Cup that we saw from last season. With that being said, moving on into the last game on this board, and a game that nobody really care about and don't really bother to watch. And I'm gonna be honest, I actually didn't watch this game as well. I was actually ground hopping, so I couldn't watch this game. But one thing I will say is that yeah, this game kind of plays the way I thought it was going to be, where you can quite tell that watching this game, if you were watching this game and watching this one, you can see there was a huge gulf of quality between this game and this one. Because while this game was playing at a very high quality, yeah, you can't say the same thing about this game between the Quakes and Sporting KC, two of the bottom feeder team in the West. And it kind of showed in the first 15 minute. Nothing really happened in the first 15 minute. In fact, the first shot of the game came in the 15 minute that saw Vargas miss wide from close. Rosario then missed wide from the header, as the Celts were only 2-0 30 minutes in. And again, not a big surprise when you have two bottom feeder facing off against each other. Polito would then hit it wide from close before Yarbrough would deny Polito from long range. And then Polito looked like he finally broke his strap out, because it's been a long time since he has scored a goal for Sporting KC, but unfortunately the flag did not agree with him. And I thought the Quakes got away with one there, because that actually came after the Quakes had a set piece opportunity, it had a corner opportunity, and then as soon as they lost out on the corner, Sporting KC went on the counter attack, and they would end up scoring. And again, that feels very similar to the Almeida era, where I saw a lot of that happen during Almeida time because of the man marking system, and it kind of gave a bit of a flashback in terms of it, and not really a good flashback, that is. But we do head to halftime, scoreless between both of these teams, and it did not stay scoreless long heading into the second half, as in the 48th minute, Eric Tommy would score from Radoja and Russell to give Sporting KC a 1-0 lead. And while it was a great goal from Eric Tommy, yeah, just zero closing down from the Quakes. You would think that this team would be closing down probably the one of the most dangerous mid-range shooter in the league in Eric Tommy, don't they? But again, at the same time, this is the Quakes. Their defense has been as bad as their attack this season, so I'm not a big surprised that they don't even bother uh closing down the most dangerous mid-range goal scorer in this game, and really one of the most dangerous guy from scoring goal from outside the box. Grazo did look to respond, but he missed high from long range. But then the 57th minute, the drought is finally over. Alan Polito finally get himself back on the score sheet. He scored from Radoja to give Sporting KC a 2-0 lead. Again, if you have problem and you're on a losing run, or even if you're a player that is on a goal drought, play the San Jose Earthquakes, because they will solve your problem. And this is why I'm so excited to see the Blues not derby in a bit between Minnesota versus the San Jose Earthquakes. Because let's say if Minnesota doesn't win against DC United, then I'm gonna be very happy to see that they get to play against the Quakes, because unless your name is not unless your the name is the Chicago Fire, the Quakes pretty much cannot beat anyone lately these days. Libo then missed high from long range, and then Russell hits one right to Yarbo. It was all Sporting KC up to this point. The Quakes, they were not at it whatsoever. It seems like that's been a regular occurrence. Russell then fires it wide from long range before Espinoza, who looked like he was the only one that really cared in this game, puts it right to Melia. But the Quakes actually did get one back, to my biggest surprise. I mean, with the way that they were playing, I didn't think that they were going to get one back and make this interesting. And as I said that, I think Sporting KC fans got to mine Quakes fans that, hey, yeah, as bad as your season has been, we always are going to make sure that it's not going to be easy, and we got to also make sure that we continue this narrative of us giving up late goals to make this interesting. Because Kyrie Shelton here would score an own goal, and it was kind of a hilarious own goal too, just kind of a peak Kyrie Shelton moment there. And this is where you could fear that if you're a Sporting KC fan, oh boy, is it going to fall apart again. We've seen it so many times this season. Rodriguez puts it wide from long range, and then Jude Wood puts it wide from close in the 5th minute. The good news, if you're a Sporting KC fans, at least coming from a Quakes fan, you're not gonna collapse against the Quakes. Consider the Quakes. It's been a while since I've seen them have a come from behind victory, and it doesn't happen here in this one. The boos, of course, rain down at PayPal Park. That feels like it's a regular occurrence, and you know that it is loud, even if the stadium was relatively empty in this game. As in the end, Sporting KC with an easy 2-1 win. The shots in this one, 13 shots for the 11 that the Quakes had, 4 shots on goal for the one that's the Quakes had, 4 shots that was off target for the 5 that Sporting KC had, 4 shots that was blocked for the 6 the Quakes had, and possession wise, 50% for both of these teams. And for Sporting KC, it's a good win, but yeah, this is the San Jose Earthquakes, so you can't really say too much. And whether or not this could be a way for them to really start turning around the season, because the Quakes are just giving up points left and right, like literally some of the worst team in the league. And again, if you're not named the Chicago Fire, tends to lose the Quakes, at least in recent some form. So yeah, I'm pretty sure Sporting KC will enjoy it, but you know that their priority is obviously not going to be on the rest of the league. It kind of feels like this game, whoever wins, it doesn't seem like it's going to give them momentum. Both of these teams feels like they're pretty much done in the league. But the only difference is, while the Quakes, they're very much just seen this season out. For Sporting KC, at least they still have something to play for, and that they still have the U.S. Open Cup to play for. And just like what we saw a couple of years ago, Peter Vermees' side is going to put their eggs all in that basket and hope to salvage a season with a U.S. Open Cup win, which we have seen before. We have seen before where bad teams have been able to win the U.S. Open Cup. Heck, we saw one of the worst team in the league, that is DC United, in 2013, went up to win U.S. Open Cup and salvage the season. So this could be the same case again for Sporting KC if they're able to do so now that they're into the semifinal again. But there you have it. That is pretty much it in terms of the review of all of these games. As always, let me know in the comments below, what do you think of this review? And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys leave a like, smash the subscribe button, and yeah, I of course will see you guys next